I'm here with Ivo Gormley, who works with Think Public, who are specialists in user involvement in design. What do you think is necessary to get users involved in the design of digital public services?
Well, I think what we were just saying was that I don't think the idea that understanding the complexity of an issue that you're about to create a digital service for is necessarily separate to the process of involving the users. What we find very often in our projects is that our research is a fantastic way of engaging people. People actually really want to help. If you're open about the challenge that you're trying to solve, you can bring people in at the same time as you're trying to understand their needs. So I think any project is going to have to consider the needs of its users at some stage, and I think leaving that door open from when you've had that initial engagement to bring them along further into the community is a really good start.
We're also hearing kind of two ends of a dimension on this. Well, increasingly people are going to be finding their own ways around the web. They're doing their own searches. They're using their own different applications. They're coming in from different places. And on the other end, there's government where it's nice if you can tidy it up in one place and say, come to our gateway. Are you getting any sense of what's going to work in future, or do we need both?
I don't know the answer. I think we're going to have to need both. I think what the advice emerging seems to be, from the government's point of view, they need to be very open to other people providing services that they may have traditionally owned, and also collaborating with those services. Patient opinion is a classic example of that. But in terms of the user involvement, I think when you've got the best is pretty much a user-run organisation. So if Mum's already running a great website for mums, let them keep doing it. You're automatically then having a service that's fitting the needs of the people that are designing it. I think when the larger the project, the harder it is to engage the end users and the more stakeholders you have. So big NHS IT projects, you have a much harder user engagement project. But I think it's the same situation still applies. You need to be able to go out there, talking to the people who are going to be entering the records, talking to the people who are going to be sharing that information, all the different access points, and going through their experience, working out how they're going to use it, and then inviting them into the process of designing it, and then inviting them into the process of delivering it as much as possible.
So we need to be looking at the sorts of services that are going to be developed in future, and a shift possibly to more community-based development of services, more co-production, and that throws up different numbers. Huge.
I think we're discussing a large amount of different issues here. But yeah, essentially, I'm a big advocate of co-production, and I think wherever possible, you should be involving the users in the design and the delivery of the service.
So that's perhaps a starting point to figure out which services government's just going to have to carry on doing itself, and those where people are going to be more and more involved.
Which I think is easier to say than do, because you've got if you're providing a statutory service and you realise that someone else is and you're the government, and then someone else is providing a very good alternative, you can't just shut down your service and rely on theirs because you don't know how long it's going to last. So I think it's not an easy thing to do.